CEO SleepOut brand was born from a desire, I'm told, to rethink, reinvent and re-energize the way that we look at philanthropy. It's an initiative that asks chief executive officers of big organizations to shed their creature comforts for one winter's night in order to raise funds for charity. But there has been some criticism in the past, even being called poverty porn by some. Oresti Patricios is with us from the Ornico Group. They're the media monitoring partner, and Daren Olivier, Chief Executive Officer, SleepOut Trustee. To both of you, a very warm welcome. Darren, we'll get to the criticism in just a moment because it's not without it. But the origin of the event, first of all, I think it started in Australia, you'll tell us.
That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, Bernard Fion is a chap who was deliberating, and he thought, to quote him, there were so many sleep-out events and dinners, and he wanted to create something different. So he created the SleepOut in Australia, and as a result, it was born from there. It spread to, obviously, to South Africa, but before that, London, the United States. Canada has one as well. So it's not a new concept altogether, but it is new to South Africa.
Oresti Patricios, why do you think this is a good idea? You've lent your company's name to this initiative.
I'm involved with other charities, and really to kind of raise money is seriously difficult. And I think education is critical in this country, but also building up awareness of people sleeping out at night and the poverty that in South Africa, and that's what I like about it.
Darren, does it really do that, though? Isn't this just a sanitized version of poverty? If I look back at last year, the chief executives were given hot soup by a leading hotel chain. I understand they were serenaded by a well-known singer. That's not the reality of life on the street, by any stretch of the imagination.
No, not at all. And I think this is where it's not meant to do that. It's not meant to put you in the position of a homeless person, not for 1 second. I think it would be impossible.
Almost disrespectful.
And disrespectful, actually. But what it does, Jeremy, and it's quite interesting to see, in some of the reports, in the Ornico report, it's monitored the negativity versus the positivity. The social empathy report, which is done by an independent consulting firm, and just actually, without the figures and the facts, just seeing some of the CEOs just react on the night. Not everyone does, but at 3 o'clock in the morning when it is damn cold and the streets are hardened and all the serenading is stopped.
Suddenly the scales fall from people's eyes.
There's time to think. And there definitely is, not just by seeing, if you speak to people, there is a moment of time where they do think. That in itself indicates to me that the people higher up the food chain, the leaders of this world, need to become more engaged with homelessness and what's happening on the streets.
Oresti, previously, what's the sentiment measure been like? Well, what have people been saying, in other words?
We've measured it from about 2 weeks before, or about a month before the event. I mean, I got 29,000 tweets during that time. Obviously, during the SleepOut was the most prevalent. But I think,
benchmarking, that's a lot of social media activity.
Yeah, there's a lot of social media activity, but it wasn't only social media. I mean, in the traditional press, in the broadcast media, the CEO SleepOut and empathy and the words empathy, those kind of things really were prominent features in the media. CEO SleepOut is a brand in itself, and how do you build up that socialization of consciousness to see people and understand what's happening on the streets, I think is important.
Fundamentally, though, it's about money. You raise an enormous amount of money. How much did you raise last time? What's the target this year, and how's it dispersed?
So 26 million is the physical amount that was raised.
Don't go so fast. 26 million in one night.
In one night, yeah.
It's a lot of money. Okay.
I mean, Oresti will talk about it in a second. I mean, his organisation went to London last week and won an award for the coverage of the event.
Yes.
So, and it was competing with the likes of Bill and Melinda Gates' initiatives, Pope St. Francis' initiative. So it's right up there in terms of what it can do, and against a really low rand, so to speak. So the money is one aspect of it. It's going this year to, the main focus is education. And there are 3 beneficiaries: Usher, which is early childhood learning development; Columba, which is well known for interventions in the student and school scenario; and then the Steve Biko Foundation, which has interventions, especially in the Eastern Cape, where unemployment is rife, at building up tradesmen and educating them to have the skills to continue. So that's the focus of this year's event. But I think the money is one thing, Jeremy, but I think it goes even further than that. So last year's beneficiaries, let's say Girls and Boys Town, once they spend the money, the cumulative social impact of that money still continues. So it's what you do with the money and what you do with the money that you put in. That's quite exciting.
And all the money raised goes to the charity that you have identified?
That's correct. There's a portion that's kept back, obviously, to run the event.
How much does it take to run the event?
We try finding out. It's our second year, but it's not insubstantial. And I think last year 95% of the funds were redistributed. I don't think it'll be quite as much this year, but we're trying to make it as much as possible. It needs credibility.
And the London side of this, what did you discern there?
AMEC, which is the World Media Measurement of Communications Association, and we won 2 golds for the CEO SleepOut, which was really phenomenal. And first African company to
fantastic. I mean, and the great thing about it is that this has, as Darren was saying, it's got universal traction.
Absolutely.
Attached to it as well. Will you be doing it this year?
Yes.
Of course you will.
Sure.
You'll be doing it.
I'll be there.
I suppose you leave me no choice, gentlemen.
Yes, of course.
Thank you very much indeed. Daren Olivier and Oresti Patricios.